12 serious mistakes pet house owners build all the time. Even the foremost romantic and caring pet house owners generally build mistakes which will cause loads of bother each for them and their pet. Most of the time, it happens simply because they don't have all the mandatory info. As an example, not all house owners recognize that nutrition supplements, that area unit alleged to build animals feel higher, will really undermine their health. We at sulscribe reviewed the foremost widespread cat and dog care mistakes, hoping that this text can assist you to not build them within the future. And at the top of the article, there's a bonus for you which will surprise several pet house owners. 1. A fast transition from dry food to natural food, or the opposite method around. The transition from one form of food to the opposite invariably needs to be correct and gradual. An unforeseen amendment within the quantity will cause food stress, which will lead to forcing out, diarrhea, and alternative unpleasant things. The transition from natural food to pet food, and the other way around, needs to be very swish. It ought to take a minimum of 5 days. Add dry food to the natural food, increasing its quantity day by day. 2. Victimization. A similar litter box for many cats. Every pet ought to have its own food and water bowls, and, most significantly, its own litter box. It's not solely regarding however clean cat's area unit and wish to be. Animals understand alternative animal smells as a warning. Cats would possibly simply refuse to eat food or use the litter box if they sense the presence of a distinct animal. 3. Not checking what proportion water they need. When you feed your pet with natural foods, they're going to most likely get enough water from it. However, if you feed your cat or dog with dry food solely, you've got to create certain that their water bowl is often full. Dehydration will result in terribly serious health problems, as well as death. 4. Ignoring or inability to visualize avoirdupois. Their area unit dog breeds that area unit simply terribly onerous to imagine as being work. As an example, pugs and fat cats look very cute, too. However, additional weight is an additional load for the animal's joints, negative effects for his or her circulatory system, and may cause bother for his or her gastrointestinal system. So, if you cross-check your dog from on top of, they ought to have a clear waist, the transition from the chest to the belly ought to be visible, and a touch fat is okay to own on the ribs. 5. Not looking what you say. Pet house owners usually calm their animals down with words like, "It's okay," once they area unit planning to bathe them or take them to the vet. Pets study these words alright, and over time, they become a sign for cats and dogs that, presumably, it's not planning to be okay terribly before long. Chuck these phrases. If you're planning to do one thing your cat doesn't like or one thing which will cause stress, act rather like you always do. 6. Shopping for universal pet food. Depending on the pet, they could want completely different food. This can be additionally true for each young and recent pets, sterilized and not, and additionally completely different breeds, for example, cats with long fur and sphinxes. Don't get universal food. It's higher to shop for specialized styles of food that embrace the mandatory vitamins, minerals, and alternative necessary ingredients, particularly for your pet. 7. Holding cats walk outside. Of course, contemporary air is sweet for health, however on the road, their area unit several dangers for cats, aggressive dogs, ticks and fleas, cars, infections. You will be able to solely let your pet out if you reside in an exceedingly non-public house with a fence. However, you've got to create certain you employ special medications for parasites often. 8. Not being consistent. Dogs perceive either near or invariably. If you don't wish your pet to try to do some things, don't let it do them ever. As an example, if you don't wish your dog to sleep within the same bed with you, don't let it bang you on the bed throughout the day. 9. Going away dogs in closed cars. This is a really serious mistake that several pet house owners build. The temperature within the automotive is often beyond outside, and within the summer, your automotive turns into a true kitchen appliance. While not a supply of gas, your dog would possibly merely suffocate. Within the winter, it's not a lot of different. Once the engine isn't running, it gets very cold, and if the engine is running, the dog would possibly suffocate owing to the fumes. By the way, in some countries, it's legal to interrupt a car's window if there's a dog within. 10. Identification and treating pets on your own. When pet house owners notice symptoms, they begin treating their pets right away. They opt for some veterinary pills for them, they offer them human medication, and check out alternative ways. However, if you're not a vet and if you don't do the mandatory tests, you cannot make sure that the identification is correct. Also, solely associate skilled will certify that the treatment is true given the breed of the animal, its weight, and alternative info. Also, yes, some medications for humans also can be used for animals, however provided that associate skilled recommends them. And also the quantity matters loads. 11. Holding your cat lie on the radiator. Cats love heat places. This can be why throughout the winter, they usually sleep on radiators or close to alternative heating devices. However, the extended contact of the pet with hot objects could result in the warming of their internal organs. The cat itself could also be fully comfy as a result of its receptors don't work like ours do. However, many hours spent on a hot radiator could have an effect on its health terribly seriously. If the animal doesn't wish to go away the place it loves most, place a blanket or a comforter on high of the radiator to decrease the temperature. 12. Selecting the incorrect nutrition supplements. Calcium, minerals, and alternative helpful nutrients area unit necessary for puppies and adult dogs. However, you would like to grasp that each single breed has its own desires. Associate way over vitamins or the incorrect vitamins could result in the bones turning into fragile, that ends up in frequent fractures. Bonus, never leave any food within the bowl. This is very convenient for pet house owners that employment loads and area unit terribly busy. They place a full bowl of food out for his or her pet before they're going to figure. However, pets ought to have a feeding schedule, and this approach can solely result in cats and dogs' mortal sin. This, in turn, ends up in avoirdupois and also the related to health problems. If you've got to go away your pet alone for an extended time, it's higher to shop for associate automatic feeder with a timer that fills the bowl at the proper times. What pet care mistakes have you ever made? What else ought to cat and dog house owners recognize about?